Here we are in my living room with Dino, and we're going to put together another video for you. I'm really excited about this one because it's very close to my heart. But before I get started, I just wanted to describe the mess you're observing here. This is what happens when you're a photographer for 50 years and an excited photographer and always going through lots of prints, studying them, looking for my mistakes, improving them. And in this room, I've probably got over 2,000 work prints, and I've probably got about 500 fiber-based exhibition prints in here. So, my wife puts up with it, and we're kind of overjoyed because we're doing very well in our life, and I'm doing very well because of photography, what it's done for my life. But I want to talk to you about a wonderful episode that happened to me 45 years ago at the bottom of the world. A place where very few people go to when they're very down and out. There's no other place to go, and they might be a tragic wine alcoholic, and they've been fired from their job and by their wife, and they hit the road. And this is the end of the line in Los Angeles, in this field, this dirty old rubble-strewn field by the side of the main line tracks going into LA. And this is where I hung around with my cameras and my dog for 10 years. And I was 1 year into this essay on the railroad tramps, and I was standing in that field. This is in July 1974. And out of the corner of my eye, I looked over where the New York Junk Company was, which was adjacent to that lot. It was about 100 yards away. And so to make a long story short, I go over there and I meet this old man. His name was Oliver. And he was the lowest class mobile junk man that I've ever seen. He would cruise the streets of Glendale, California in this 47 Studebaker. I don't think the car ever got out of first gear because he pulled a small camp trailer on the back of it, and he would drive up and down the streets. And he was about 85 years old at the time. He could hardly walk. And he would probably never go more than 4 or 5 miles an hour looking for junk. And then he would stop and slowly get out of the car, and everybody be honking their horns at him because he was holding up traffic. And he would pick up this terrible, rotten junk that he did was almost worthless. And every day he would show up at the New York Junk Company. And so I went over and talked to him, and I was photographing him, and I had to explain that I said, well, I'm interested in your old car because I restore cars. And when I said that I restored old cars, he got very interested. And I was there, and he was unloading his trailer, and I tried to help him. He said, oh, don't do that, you'll get your hands dirty. And he was just this eccentric, old, nice man, but very polite. And when he talked about cars, he didn't seem eccentric. He was right on the money. He was sharp as a tack. And he said, well, you're a body man. And I told him I was a body man restoring expensive cars. I was doing a Ferrari right at the time I met him. A Ferrari that had been damaged in a wreck, and I fixed it and painted it. And he finally said, well, you'll have to come and see my old Mercedes. And I thought, well, some old kind of Mercedes, not too excited about it. Anyway, we get in my car, and he directs me to a garage near my home in Glendale. And it took him about 20 minutes. He brought this big old bag of keys, and it took him 20 minutes to find the right key, and he was killing me with suspense. And he finally gets the key, and he opens the lock, and the door to the garage hadn't been opened in so long that it had rusted shut, and it took both of us to pry the door open and push the door up. And when we got that door up, there was a car that I couldn't believe, because I couldn't believe my eyes. It was a 1924 supercharged Mercedes-Benz. And in 1924, when it was built in Germany, it cost $25,000. And that might have been a world record at the time. It had an aluminum body that was made by the Murphy Body Company in Pasadena, California. And they were one of the best custom bodybuilders in this country at the time, 1924. And the car was made out of cast aluminum, which was polished. It had never been painted. So this was a spectacular car. It was an 8-cylinder, supercharged Mercedes dual windshield Phaeton. So what happened was a very wealthy man in this country that had it built. But at that time, you only had the chassis, the engine, and the essentials mechanical gear built. And then you took it to a special bodybuilder of your choice who would design a body for the car and build the body. Well, this man, who was an American who bought the car in Germany, they put it on a boat and they brought it over to this country, and they brought it to one of the best bodybuilders in this country, which is in Pasadena, the Murphy Body Company. And Murphy made this beautiful aluminum body for it. And Oliver bought it in 1938 at an estate sale. And at that time, a lot of the rich people in this country were trying to get rid of things that were made in Germany because of the onset, because of the First World War and then the onset of the Second World War. And he bought it in 1938 at the estate sale for $150, he told me. And here it was probably one of the most valuable cars in existence to this day. You know, and there it was in the garage. No one had seen it in 50 years because all the big car collectors were after him many years ago to buy it, and he didn't like them, and so he salted it away and locked it up and wouldn't let anybody see it. And it was finally purchased by a man in my home state of Connecticut. So it went back to my home state of Connecticut. It's got a very different history, a very funny history as far as I'm concerned. And it was a wonderful treat. And I knew Oliver for 3 or 4 years, and then he died. But this car touched my heart, and Oliver touched my heart. But even better than the car was the story of Oliver, and me meeting Oliver at the bottom of the world, by the New York Junk Company, by the empty lot where all the tramps came when they came out here on the freight trains, and there was no place else to go because there was too many of them downtown. They ended up in this lot by the side of the tracks, and I was there, and I saw it all. Now I want to show it to you.